Hey there, I'm so excited to be starting season three of Two Brown. I know it's been a while, but season three is a revamp. We've got special guests, and these are all women because season three is all about women's wellness and our well being. So I've got people who are going to talk about sexuality, intimacy, what it's like to be a plus size model, being Daisy, from spirituality to a makeup artist to even people who have lost someone very dear to them, and so much more. This will make it so relatable to us because we all go through the different things that we face, different kinds of struggles. So, season three, it's all about women and how we can feel relatable, but also empowered. There will be lots of practical tips that will help us through the everyday stuff that we go through. So make sure you do check it out. I'm so excited today to be having Natasha Vaswani from Spain, who is so many things, one of which she's an author, a keynote speaker, a business coach, and also a leading expert in helping female entrepreneur coaches generate consistent sales through their high ticket offer. But more importantly, there's so much more to her. And today, it's such an honor. It's a pleasure to have her dive into so much about who she is and where she's at in her life today. So Natasha, welcome.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with you, Karina.
Okay, so before we start with so many questions about your life, I want to dive into the very first thing you told me when we were started this conversation, offline. I understand that you've been battling with cancer, and I'd love to understand how this journey began and how did you find out, when did this all happen?
Yeah, this journey began 21 years ago when the first time I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, stage 4 cancer. And the treatment lasted nearly 3 years. It was a battle. It was a constant battle. First, we tried naturopathy because I didn't want to undergo chemo and radio as I'd seen my father undergo it. We lost my father to cancer also. So so it was quite a long procedure, very difficult one. And then 21 years later, now again I've been diagnosed with a different type of cancer, which is sarcoma synovial, 4th stage again. And as I mentioned, that sometimes certain types of cancers can only be detected in the 4th stage. You can't get to know before time, so you don't have a choice which treatment to go in for. And obviously, my tumor is like 14 centimeters already. So we need, so the doctor said, we cannot just operate you because a surgery it's going to be a very high risk surgery. You won't come out alive. So we need to shrink the tumor and then we're going to do the surgery.
Okay.
So I got diagnosed with cancer before they thought it was pneumonia. And then I actually got diagnosed with cancer in April 20th. And ever since then, there has been a lot of recovery because I'd become a vegetable, basically. I couldn't talk, I couldn't walk. My feet, my hands, my whole body had swollen up so much because the first time they gave me chemotherapy, I took it, my body rejected it. It took it very badly. And every patient takes, the side effects of chemotherapy on every patient is very different because there's so many types of chemotherapies.
Right. Okay. Got it.
So that's why in my videos also, which I keep on posting, I keep on sharing these things because if I can help people, why not?
Of course. But how is it different from when you had cancer previously?
Oh, well, first of all, I was 18. My mental, emotional, physical, spiritual state were completely different. At that time, I was a very shy, insecure girl full of fears. I didn't feel like living. And what happens, I can openly say this because other cancer patients can relate to this.
Yeah.
You do get suicidal thoughts. You do. I mean, it's a part of your mental state, that you're in so much pain, you just want to give up.
Yeah.
On top, it's not just 1 or 2 weeks or 3 months. It was nearly 3 years. And I know people who, for 5 years, 10 years, they're battling cancer,
Wow.
and it's like hats off to them. It's really not easy. So obviously, you have to, and this time I was in shock, obviously, because again, the doctor told me that, he again broke the news that, oh, she's not going to survive. She's very critical. And, they keep on saying that. But then the moment I got now, I was like, I don't believe him. There was a voice within me that told me, no, I have life in me. I have a lot more to give because I love serving people. That's why I'm a coach, because I want to be there for women,
Nice.
who need the financial freedom. Because, well, we'll get into that later, but it's like that's my purpose in life.
Indeed. Indeed.
To help others. Of course, we set our boundaries. We don't become doormats.
Of course.
That also I learned through my milestones in life. But then it's like there's so much to give. There's so much more life in me that I just refuse.
Yeah. Brilliant.
But making peace with that, was very difficult because there were two options. I mean, day in, day out, my health was deteriorating.
Yeah.
It was getting bad. So obviously, my physical health was telling me that I'm dying. But
Your mental.
inside, I was fighting. I was like, no, something has to change.
Nice.
And my family, I'm very supportive family, very supportive husband, my friends, so many people have prayed for me to be alive. I'm so grateful to everybody. I mean, definitely, the universe, God.
Yeah.
Something happened, and now it's 3 months, and I have touched wood, I've recovered so much, and I'm still on the road to recovery.
Brilliant.
So yeah,
I'm so excited. Like, we've been talking, and your story just constantly inspires me. It's so amazing. So how do you keep yourself upbeat? Like, I get the fact that you have this amazing support system, and I know for a fact that you're really spiritual, but battling with cancer again, how do you stay grounded, or how do you stay content, or how do you stay even optimistic?
I don't. I'll be honest. I'm one person who believes in not having filters.
Nice.
I try to be as authentic as possible because I think that's one thing we humans lack nowadays. We follow all these stereotypes. You should do this, you should do that.
Yeah.
I don't. There are days I wake up feeling like crap.
Yeah.
There are days I sleep feeling like crap.
Yeah.
And emotional states, mental states keep on changing throughout the day.
Yes.
And I have been very depressed. There were 2 weeks after my chemo recently where I was extremely depressed. Whatever I was trying was not working. Everything was working against me. And I'm like, okay, you need to sometimes just go with the flow and say, it's okay if you're depressed.
Yeah.
It's okay if you're sad. It's normal because I have a psychologist who comes home every few weeks. But what I realized is that I'm helping myself more.
Brilliant.
Because she's there to listen, but when I need suggestions, until I don't take charge of my mental state, like, okay, the moment I detect that, okay, whoa, and it's a sudden low. You just feel depressed and you feel like, oh my God, the worst is happening to you. And then I'm like, Natasha, just snap out of it. Bye bye. And nowadays I keep on saying bye bye, as if bye bye, like, I don't, bye, I don't want to see you or whatever. And sometimes you just go with the flow. There are days you just go with the flow and just sit with that depressed mood and let it just pass by.
Yeah.
Because it will pass by. It is temporary.
Indeed.
But yes, I have to keep on making, there is the struggle that, you have to keep on being up there, like, because it affects everything. Your physical state affects my blood reports, obviously. If I don't eat well, then I cannot, my blood reports are not good. I fall low on iron, or, my hemoglobin is low. I cannot undergo chemotherapy then. So it's a whole chain,
Benefit funds, yeah.
and obviously I want to recover. I want to be back on my toes ASAP, but I know it's going to take some time. And to make peace with that also,
Yes.
because even that gets into depressive mood, like,
Yes.
this is going to take months, and I have to be okay with it. I make a list many times of different ways to do different things, because life gets very monotonous for all of us.
Oh yeah, and let alone
right?
restricted.
Exactly. So let's be spontaneous. So I feel like going down to the park, having a stroll, or I feel like having a coffee, or I feel like talking to this person. I just do it, and I'm like, and when I say I don't feel like doing it, nowadays I've tried that. Maybe it's a switch word. I feel like doing it. I feel like doing it. And it works. I'm like, Natasha, you feel like doing it. And sometimes it works.
Oh, yeah. So you almost reprogram your mind into wanting to do something.
Exactly.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I reprogram my mind. Exactly. Exactly. Because the subconscious mind doesn't know reality from fiction, right?
Exactly.
We can fool it.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
And this works for anyone, let alone if you're a cancer survivor or not.
Yeah.
Right? Because we can get stuck in our headspace, and we can tell ourselves, no, this is what I want, even if you know that you don't, but you're telling your mind otherwise. And that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Exactly.
So I want to know more about how you got into. Sorry. No, sorry, my bad. Were you trying to say something?
Above all, I just want to mention that loving ourselves is the most important thing.
God.
Loving and validating ourselves.
Yes.
Wherever we are, whichever journey we are on, because everybody's got problems. Everyone is stuck somewhere or the other. And the moment, just hugging yourself or looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, hey, I'm there for you. I love you. You are doing a great job. Just that, it's like, it's so sufficient. You feel so complete, because actually we were born whole and complete, right? We were made to believe by conditioned belief systems that we are incomplete. Someone else would complete us. But
That's not true.
If we just tell ourselves, I love you, I'm there for you, I've been there for you, and I'll always be there for you, it makes us feel so good.
Yeah. And it's so true that you can be anywhere in your life, in any phase where you're going through something. And that's normal, because that's part of life. But knowing how to snap out of it, knowing how to not let that voice dictate too much. And that's where the reprogramming is really useful, because it's one thing to allow that, but it's another thing to know, okay, now there's a fine line and I need to go, all right. You got to go bye-bye, So yeah, it's
the silver lining. Yeah.
I love it. It's catchy, and it makes sense, because you're taking ownership of your own life, irrespective of what we're going through. And yeah, like you said, we all go through stuff. Sometimes for some people it's not so physically obvious. And for some it's more obvious. They could be a heart patient, they could be going through divorce, they could be going through someone who passed away, and it's not really obvious, but they're still battling with something. So
yeah, people find it difficult to believe that I have cancer, accepting the fact that I've lost my hair because of the chemo, but otherwise they're like, oh, you're not pale, you don't look sick, you're not this, you're not that. And I'm like, 21 years ago, I was like that, but I guess this time,
you know better.
I don't know. I have lots of more resources. I do a lot of inner work, internal cleansing, energy medicine, mirror therapy, lots of things. So obviously, it does reflect,
of course,
on all my states.
Definitely. That's so powerful, right? And the fact that you're doing all these things, I'm sure some of what you do and your belief system gets transferred in the way that you coach your female clients.
Well, presently I'm not working because I don't have the energy. I would love to. I'm just, I'm just waiting for that moment. But yes, next month I've been invited to give an inspirational speech at a conference. But otherwise, I'm not able to,
Yeah.
uh, take on clients. In fact, I had to leave my clients in half when I was diagnosed with cancer. So that made me feel so bad.
Yeah.
Um, but
It's
but
understandable.
anyway,
It's understandable.
it's life. Life comes in the way, and that is life. It's unpredictable,
Yeah. It
and
like shit
yeah,
happens. You got to just get on with it. You have to,
yeah,
whether you want to or not, but that's just how things are, and you kind of move with that.
yeah,
Yeah. So how did you get into writing? Because I know you're an author. So how did
yeah.
that come about?
Oh, when I was since childhood, I used to always write these small notes because I've been dyslexic. I was dyslexic as a child. And so I used to learn in a different way.
Mm,
So I used to write still notes to myself. I've always had this connection with writing because I felt that
mm,
I can express myself
mm.
on paper. I won't talk to anyone because I was a complete introvert,
Yeah.
and people used to be like make fun of me and everything because obviously they thought that obviously I was an introvert, right?
Mm.
So, but then I formed this connection with my notebook many since childhood, and then I started blogging. I had this visual board many years ago where I'd written that okay, one day I'm going to run and publish my book,
Nice.
and I thought that I would have to, go find a publishing house. It would be struggle, but it didn't. It automatically came to me through LinkedIn. And the only thing is that it got published during the COVID. So, that was the only, but anyway,
Yeah.
but yeah, now, so yeah, but I've always loved writing, and now also that's therapy for me. Like every day I write, I journal my thoughts and emotions
Beautiful.
because it helps you to clear your mind,
Yes. Yes. Indeed.
And your subconscious mind actually comes in the open then.
Mm.
Then many times you cannot figure out what's troubling you, and then you just write it and you're like, oh my God, now clarity. Okay, now I can understand what's troubling me, what's going on there, and how I can help myself.
Very cool. It's true because I think writing is such a powerful tool in being able to understand your own thought process, but also to be able to understand how you're feeling, why you're feeling that, where it's all coming from. You kind of almost dive deep into you in a way that you couldn't really do if you were just sitting down and thinking.
Yeah,
Because a lot gets poured out in so much more depth, and I think yeah, like I totally agree. Writing is so powerful. It's very, in one way, it's very cathartic, but in one way, it is also very self-reflective.
true.
Yeah. So tell me
Yes.
about the book that you actually wrote.
Well, it's called Perseverance.
Nice.
In that, I mentioned this was actually, I mentioned lots of my case studies with, women I have worked with,
Mhm.
their journeys, how they improved on a mental, emotional, physical, financial state, and a bit about my journey as well. I've mentioned there, and lots of techniques and skills which they can apply
Um,
because I believe education is very powerful. A person doesn't have to be a PhD,
mm,
to know everything.
agree.
As long as you know something and you can apply it,
Yeah.
application of mind is the most important thing. Because you can have loads of degrees, but if you don't put it to use, what's the point?
Totally. Totally. Knowing how to use the information and making it practical in your life and being able to share that in most concise and sort of plain old language is power. Yeah. I totally agree with you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, I want to go into a little bit of your blogging because I mentioned, and I think I saw that too, right? That you started blogging a whole lot. Tell me a little bit about
Yeah.
that.
Well, blogging, I've started again after um, I wanted to express, this part of my life,
Yeah,
this journey of my life, where there's again so much to say how it started, how I processed. It took me time to process it also,
of course.
you know. Uh, and normally it doesn't take that much time because, like, my mom is the one who becomes completely neutral, and I'm the one who processes quickly. But then obviously this was a very different case, and obviously my family was down here. But then I was like, okay, now it's time to blog. I had this inner calling that I want to express
Mm-hmm.
myself in my blogs and I want people to read it.
No.
I want people to see if they can benefit out of it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, through, Instagram and TikTok, I don't see them as just social media. I see them as a very strong tool to communicate with people.
Mm-hmm.
And I've communicated with so many cancer patients who are on their own struggles and they are so lost and they see that if I can inspire them a bit, if I can help them through some tips,
Yeah.
some ways that can help them heal, why not?
Yeah. Like it's an avenue to reach out to people to make a difference because there's so many people who are also battling with cancer or whatever else.
Exactly. That's why I called it Kiss Me Life blog series.
So
Because literally it's like kiss me life.
that's so sweet. That's really cute though. That's amazing. That is so cool. I want to go
Uh,
back into your younger years, right? So I know that you currently live in Barcelona. So walk me through
right.
what childhood was like, where you're originally from, and family. Kind of walk us through all of that.
Oh, my childhood, to be honest, was very boring. I have an elder sister. She's 16 months older than me. Obviously, she was the older one, so she was the bully. But today, we are like soulmates. She is
Oh,
my best friend. She's always there for me. But yeah, my childhood, I was very shy, very introvert. I barely spoke. I was very close to my mother. I'm still very close to my mother. And I was always very studious.
mm,
But then my sister used to always, barely like study last minute and she used to get all these A's. And because I've been dyslexic, it was a struggle for me.
yeah, yeah,
That's the thing.
yeah. So
That's the
but
thing.
effort, but it was harder.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of effort, a lot of effort. And it took me time because, see, until my childhood, until my puberty, you can say until I didn't get cancer, I didn't, my way of thinking didn't change, you know.
Okay. So
I
that like
was,
before. So what were you like before cancer?
yeah, I was full of fears, insecurities. I used to get, all these nightmares because it's like when my mom was pregnant with me also, it's a whole drama, okay? I mean, my life has been very dramatic, so it's like my uncle wanted me, but then um, he wanted to adopt me, but then mom didn't want to give her baby away.
Mm.
So she was already with the police. She's like, if anyone touches my baby,
Oh wow.
am gonna put him behind bars. Yeah. And it's like they had even offered a prize for me and everything. So I've had yeah. I mean, you can see it's quite an interesting life. So I was brought up with this belief system that I'm less, I'm useless, I'm less than others, I'm useless, I'm not good enough, I'm ugly. All of these things, which continued as a chain for many years until cancer hit me, and then I realized I'm like, okay, I've been through the worst. It can't get worse than this.
Mm,
How about if I've hated myself my entire life? How about if now I start loving myself
mm,
and let's see how it goes? So that's when my chip changed.
yeah.
But the thing is that you willing to do it and you believing in yourself are two different things. So for me to start believing in myself, it took more years, it took more hardships, more milestones. But then I wanted to reach a stage where I am today. Today, I'm a confident, successful woman. I've always wanted to be like that.
Mm,
And it's been a journey, but I'm very grateful to my journey because those are the lessons that taught me.
yes,
Those are what made me the strong woman that I am today.
indeed. Bang on. Yeah, yeah. I hear you completely. What got you when you were young, prior to getting your first experience of cancer? What actually made you feel insecure or have all these fears or not loving yourself and not feeling good enough? Where did that all stem from for you?
See, mostly it comes from our parents.
Yeah.
And as I told you, my mom was always very overprotective towards me
Yeah.
because she was like my mom and my dad, you know.
Right.
My father loved me a lot, but then my sister was his favorite.
Mm,
You know, every parent has got
of
their own
course.
favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then, you know, him and his side of the family, they used words which obviously it affects a child.
Indeed.
And a child doesn't know right from wrong.
Mm.
So then they believe whatever's told to them.
Mm. Yeah, of course, because you're
See?
so young, you don't have the ability to process. You'll just absorb what's being told or what's been said to you.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly.
No, I totally understand that. Wow, amazing. Okay, so you've got one sister, and do they live in Spain? Do they live overseas? Like,
But no, my sister stays in Arizona,
okay,
Tucson. Yeah, she stays with her husband and her 12-year-old daughter,
okay.
Kanika. She's a darling.
I get it.
My baby.
I have nieces, and I love them.
Oh, they're adorable.
And you've got a mom, and she's in India, right? So,
Yes, she's an
so
Indian.
it's quite hard when you're here in Barcelona with your husband and with you dealing with cancer. Do you not find it harder without having your family around?
It is. That's one more difference because when I started my natural medication 21 years ago, when I was detected with Hodgkin's lymphoma, I was in India for 1 year
Yeah,
doing all
exactly.
all natural medication. So my family was there, like my mom, my grandmom, my grandfather, and uncles.
All,
So it was very different. And this time I feel obviously it's just me and my husband.
yeah,
My mom, my sister, my brother-in-law, my niece, they were here, but then they had to go back. They have a job, It's like they even prolonged their trip for me, and I'm so grateful to that. But then it does hit you. You're like, oh my God, it's just me and my husband, and he tries to do whatever he can, but he's one person.
yeah,
It's not the same as a family.
indeed.
So this also I'm cherishing. I'm trying to cherish this as because silence also is very powerful many times.
Mm, indeed.
So there are things that I didn't have time to do before that I'm doing now.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
it can be as silly as just sitting outside in the balcony and enjoying the sunset.
Nice.
As simple as that, but being mindful
Mhm.
of each and every moment.
Yeah.
This is something that so many of us miss out on, and we're like, oh my God,
Mm,
it's so simple, but it's so empowering,
yeah,
and it just changes your frame of mind.
exactly.
You become so
Yeah. And we
grateful.
forget to do that. We forget to pull back, pause, and go, wow, this is amazing. Like where I'm at
Yeah,
is amazing. The most natural, most simple things can be kind of breathtaking, but it takes your mind away from all the noise, all the
exactly.
all the crazy thoughts that you could do without for the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's also one thing I'm very grateful for because there's so much peace that I don't have to deal with people screaming down, it's like because obviously with a family,
There.
everyone wants to talk and
Yeah.
it can get very overwhelming.
Yeah.
I don't have to deal with that overwhelm. It's just me
Yes.
with my best friend, which is me, and my husband, and then the caretaker. So
And
it's good.
like yeah, because you have more peace that way, like because you have like no noise, it's quieter, and you're really able to connect with yourself better. Like you do all the inner work and healing and writing, and you need that kind of space to be able to do that. So
I need that space.
yeah, and it's almost interesting that you're dealing with cancer now differently from back then, but now you have a lot of tools to be able to be very okay with being alone and have your husband with you.
Yeah, and obviously at that time I was 18 and
Yes.
now I'm 39. So age also
Well,
counts.
yeah. Well, not for everyone. Mind you.
It's
Not for everyone.
That's true. The maturity, the
The wisdom,
perspective,
yeah.
everything.
Yeah, it definitely changes you. If there's
Yeah.
if there is something that you feel you have learned through your entire life journey so far, what would be the one thing that you think has really striked for you?
It's so difficult to say. But to stand up for myself.
Okay, can you elaborate on that?
This, this is one thing I struggled with most of my life
Yeah.
because I expected someone else. It can be anybody. It can be your father, your husband, your cousin, your whoever it
Mm,
is. They have this in our Asian cultures. There's this thing that, oh, the man will come and protect you
mm,
when you can protect yourself,
how to,
and I exactly, and I had this plan that, oh, in my 20s I'll be married, I'll get my kids, and I'm 24, 25, I'll be happily married, and that's how my life will be. And my life has been nothing like that, and I have no regrets
mm,
because I'm happy where I am.
indeed.
You know,
Yeah.
this is where I wanted to be. Of course, cancer is part of my journey, but it's part of my journey. It's part of my life. It's not my entire life.
Hmm.
I don't want to make it my entire life because then that is self sabotage.
Yes, 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 yes. And
I don't want to victimize, you see.
yeah.
I want to be empowered and I want to empower others. But to get an empowerment, to stand up for myself, it took many years. And I got that from my mother because she was brought up with the same background, like men are better than women,
Mm,
men can do this, women can do that, cannot do many things. And she was like, my daughters are not going to put up with this. I'll give my daughters the best education.
nice,
Whatever they want, I'm going to give them.
nice,
And I want them to stand on their own 2 feet, never to be dependent on anybody.
brilliant,
She's made us very self sufficient.
good. But when was the starting point for you to realize that, okay, I need to stand up for me?
Oh, um, this was 10, we can say 13 years ago.
Mm,
13 years ago when you go through so much that you think that, okay, enough now, it can't get worse than this, but then certain people enter your life and they make your life a living hell,
mm,
and you're like, you do not deserve this, no way.
mm,
I mean, you're a good person, you do not deserve this, and then you start standing up because you push your limits.
mm,
You reach your limits, so you push your limits, and the moment you push your limits, you're like, damn, I can do this.
yeah. So they crossed the line way too much, and now you're like, no, I gotta now speak up for me
Exactly.
and protect myself, honor that.
Exactly. Because there's nobody else who'll do it.
Yeah.
And so you have to do it yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also because this is the crazy thing about our culture, right? Where we've been told that we're always going to be protected by men. It's not that men should not protect women, of course they should, but
Of
that we are
course.
very much capable of taking care of ourselves, our emotional needs, our mental needs, and financial, physical, all of it. And
Exactly. We,
they're
we
going
shouldn't
to,
expect it from them. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And they're going to be there for us, but not to save us. We have to we
Exactly.
got to save ourselves first because we can't be
Exactly.
clinging on to man, being completely dependent on them because these things are not there for us on our own. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
And men do realize that men don't want clingy women who are insecure, who do not believe in themselves, are not confident, because then that becomes a toxic relationship also.
yeah.
So,
Balanced, and you have a lot that
as you
you're
know,
clinging
yeah,
on to because you need him for the wrong reasons. Because you want him to
exactly.
save you, and you want him to sort your life out. It doesn't work like that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If there's one message for cancer survivors or women or people in general who are listening to this episode, what would that be?
Live the moment. Live this very moment because you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. Life is very unpredictable, so cherish each and every moment. I mean, there's nothing as people may say, oh, it may sound stupid, it may sound silly to do this. Who cares? Why should we care of what people may think or say?
Yeah.
We have to live our lives. So if we enjoy each and every moment, you never know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yes.
There's so many people like, oh, when I retire, I'll do this. How do you know you're going to reach to when you retire?
Okay.
Something may happen to you the next moment itself.
I find it
So
really naive.
it's right,
Yeah.
right.
'Cause-
Live each moment and you'll see becoming mindful of each second.
Mm,
I mean, that itself is so empowering.
mm.
And people see that in you then. People see it in your eyes, in
Yeah.
your gestures, in your smile. People keep on saying, you're always smiling, you never have any problems. I'm like, even when I have problems, I smile. That's my way of dealing with my
And
problems. That makes me feel good.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you know?
totally. I don't have to be miserable just because I'm going through a hard time. That's crazy.
Exactly.
Find ways to cope with it,
Exactly.
but you don't have to be down the dumps because you're facing certain things in life. No,
Yeah.
I'm with you
Yeah.
100% for sure. And I think exactly right because I like what you said about living the moment, right? Because I remember over the summer when I went to the spiritual retreat and I was so much reminded of death, and it just and because of obviously recently I lost my mother and it just made me question or rather reflect on death even more. And I was like, you know what?
Right.
True. Like, who knows if we have tomorrow? Who knows if we have next year? And so I'm like, if I want to do something that I know is going to make me happy or I feel is going to make a difference or it matches my calling, I'm doing it because who knows? And you know what? One life that you can remember of, that you're aware of, you're going to make it count. You're not going to say, oh
Exactly.
man, oh, I'll wait till I'm 80 because then I'll have more time.
You know what's one of the worst things, Karina? I think one of the worst things in life is being on the deathbed and dying with regrets.
Oh, shh.
You want to have a hell of a life saying, you know what, I've lived my
I
life
live.
and I don't have much regrets or I have no
I'm
regrets.
like,
And that's what you call a
I'm
life.
like, I lived. All right. I lived. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I did it. I lived. And I think it's important.
yeah,
We see this all over YouTube and Insta and everything else where they're constantly interviewing older people saying, if there's one thing you could change or one message for younger people, what would it be? And it's always like, live your earlier years because you don't want to reach an old age and not be able to do certain things. And for the older people who are in their
exactly.
80s, it's traveling or not being in touch with people that mattered when they were younger because for whatever egocentric reasons or whatever else, they lost valuable people in their lives. And when they're older, they're like, man, if only I made more of that period. Or it's like, I
Yeah,
spend way too much time working and not really valuing the people that I care about. Right? And when you
yes.
see all of this, you're like, you know what? Live now. Truly live
No,
the moment.
exactly.
Because it's so naive to think that, oh, I've got 50 years to do all those stuff. Says who? So,
Everyone's busy. There'll always be work.
yeah.
Work will never get over, but we need to take a moment, a breather, and say, let's enjoy this very
Yes.
moment. That's it.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, this has been so wonderful, Natasha. I've enjoyed our
Same here.
so much. Truly, thank you. Thank you
Same
again.
here. Thank you, dear, for inviting me to your podcast. And I'm looking forward to many more
For
conversations.
sure.
And yeah, it's been a great experience.
I loved every bit of it. So thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you,
Bye.
dear. Take care.
If you've enjoyed this episode, do comment through Instagram. You can find me on Hookem Healing, but also do share it with your friends and family or people you think would benefit from this particular episode. I'd love to hear from you. And do make sure to check out all the other episodes that have been on To Brown. Thank you.